someone just asked me, "Oh, so now that you're a social media guru," and I was like, "Wait, wait, wait. No one said that. No one said anything about being a social media guru. All this girl said was that I'm a girl who's got a camera and some things to say and and likes to talk. So that's who this girl is. This is a chatty girl who is working through some new ideas and some new things. Actually, it's probably years of working through new ideas, and it turns out to be helpful to other people who are also working through their new ideas. So, all right, before I jump into all of that, um, let's let's play the show because this is what we're talking about tonight. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go. Um, oh, Tom usually says the thing. He says, "You're listening to the Breezy Moms Podcast on digital stream radio," and then I would say, "Rebranding or renaming? How to know the difference when you're making changes to your business." You're listening to the Candice Dormon Show, a weekly podcast about business, life, and motherhood. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks so much for watching and for listening to me try to produce the show all by myself at the beginning, all alone. I really appreciate you all. I'm so excited to be here. It is Thursday, my favorite day of the week, especially when it comes to being on air, being online. And so today, I mentioned earlier that I am writing solo today because our favorite co host with the most could not be on air tonight, but I still wanted to come on and say hello. So again, shout out to the folks who have joined us already. Let's see who is here. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining. Say something if you're here. Ooh, cousin Jaquise, I love you, girl. Did you are you keeping the people in Georgia under wraps? Because it's a little too stressful for me. I hope you guys are okay. And Stephanie, yes, I'm glad that you're here. Oh wait, she said something here. Let's see. I'm glad to see you doing your thing. Thanks for the shout out. Of course, of course, of course. It's nothing without you guys watching. So I'm so glad that you are here. Okay, so what we usually do is talk a little bit about the how the week is going, and the week is going really well. I mean, I guess it is going well if it's already Thursday, right? It's so weird because the days are long, but the weeks are very, very short. But we are definitely in a groove, really appreciating the like situation we have going with our pod and our schedule. You know, all of that is working really well for us. We are all still really healthy and grateful for that. And so I hope that you all are able to keep keep healthy and keep safe. I have heard from some friends lately who have gotten sick, and so I'm glad to hear that they are on the mend. And so I really am thinking about everyone and really hoping that we all can remain vigilant. And I'll talk. I'll try to remember to talk about this a little bit more at the end when we close. But remain vigilant, especially as we get towards the holiday season when we're so used to being wrapped up with each other. You know, with like family gatherings. Um, it's probably not a good idea, but if you have to do it or if you're going to do it, find ways to do it as safely as possible. I'm even considering maybe we should all, whoever is going to get together, should like agree to get tested so that we can all be sure um, that we're all super safe. And yes, Jaquise, I miss you guys too. I'm so glad that you guys are good. I can't believe that this time last year I was thinking about how to make the summer, how to make a road trip to Georgia to come and see everyone, and then I couldn't because I didn't have any time because I was working, and then when I wasn't working, I couldn't because there was a pandemic. So the time how time changes when you think about a year ago versus right now. So but the boys are good. We're good. I'm good, feeling good, withstanding the I have been doing really I've been very specifically not sitting in front of my television. I only check in on the status of the election every probably like 2 or 3 times a day. I do it in the morning when I wake up. And I'm talking about this like we've been in post-election mode for weeks and weeks and weeks, but it feels like it, right? Long days, short weeks. And so I do a check in the morning when I wake up. I check again at lunchtime, and then I probably haven't looked at it since mid afternoon today. So I will check again when I sign off today and see if anything has changed. I do see that it is moving towards, what I would say is a more positive outcome, but you just never know, and my heart can't take it. So I'll just wait to find out what the answer is, and then I'll move on. I told a friend today, like, in the long haul, it does absolutely matter, because policies matter, and the fact that people feel emboldened and embrazened to behave the way they have been the last 4 years matters. But dude's not coming to my house, so however I can, like, carry on with my life and do the best and be the best that I can be, and provide the best environment for my kids, and only be around people who bring me joy, and not expose myself to ridiculous people as best I can. Like, that's all that I can do. That's all that any of us can do. So I am not surprised by how close the race is. And I hope that folks who are surprised by that get a chance to, like, r- recalibrate that, because none of it is surprising at all. So that is my take on that. It's kind of vague. It's not vague, right? It's not vague at all. But that's how I'm feeling, and it's how I am managing to stay smiling. I put on some makeup today. It's how I am managing to stay good. This is actually my second outfit of the day. I even had a wardrobe change mid morning. I was just feeling that saucy. So anyway, that's how we're doing. But the reason why I really wanted to come on tonight is because I have been mentioning in lots of different ways on this page that I'm going through a little bit of a renaming, and it made me think that maybe other folks um, have gone through this, or maybe are considering it. I know what's happened for me is that when I have an idea, I don't spend a ton of time thinking through it, because then I will get scared and then not do it. And so I like to jump first and then, like, figure it out later. And now, after 100 and some odd, we're on episode 108 tonight. But after 100 and maybe 2, 3 episodes, we talked about this the last couple episodes. I have been itching for a change, right? And I was wondering if it's a rebrand. Right. I don't necessarily think of myself as a brand. I have started businesses, and I know that those businesses have brands, but I don't always think of myself as a brand. And that has been an interesting exercise the last couple weeks, to think about whether I actually think that I myself have a brand. And the fact is that we all do, right? You have a personal brand. Not everybody is trying to sell something. Not everybody is trying to start and launch a business, but you still have a personal brand, and your personal brand speaks to who you are as a person, things that people start to know you for. Like, for a long time, and even now, probably, I slip back into my personal brand of being late all the time, and but also being fun, and being, reliable, except with time, and being somebody that you can come and talk to, and will be understanding, and often has some kind of helpful anecdote. Like, that's how I feel. That's what I feel like my brand is, right? And so without underselling myself, or, like, minimizing myself, I've been really thinking about that. And the show, when we launched the show and we launched the Breezy Moms podcast, that felt more like my personal brand 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, right? And so I really, really love that. Um, but now, the way that my life is moving, the way that things are going for me, the things that I'm interested in now, feel like a little bit more than just mom. And I say just, because sometimes we get pigeonholed into just mom, or just woman, or just entrepreneur, or just whatever, right? Just sister, or whatever. And I like to think of all of the different things that make up who I am. I like to think that we all have lots of different things that make up who we are. And maybe today I don't want to talk about being a mom. Maybe today I want to talk about something else. And so that has been we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Sometimes when I don't feel like talking about being a mom, I feel like maybe we shouldn't have the show. And then I pause for a second and I'm like, well, that isn't fair. Like I still want to talk. I still have things to talk about. But I don't want to I don't want to I don't know what it is. It feels like I can't talk about business if I said it's a mom show. So that has been weighing on me a lot the last several weeks, and so now I've decided like I'm just going to change the name of the show, and then every week I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. Who's in charge over there? Today we have Cam's Closet.
I have on one of the Havana tanks that we have, and these come in 7 colors. I have on the lilac one. Girl, are the tummy tuckers. Everybody needs some light and tight leggings in your life.
And I really feel like by nature of it being me, that the things kind of all like you're not going to come on here and hear me talking about sports. Like that's not within my wheelhouse, right? But I had been running my own business for almost 3 years. I recently started launch the skincare business. Like I'm always I launched this podcast a couple years ago. I'm always launching something, right? I've got an idea and I just run with it. And so I really want to talk about that more than the fact that before I was a stay-at-home mom and that's what was consuming all of my time then. So anyway, that's where all of this comes from. And so then of course I, went into the depths of YouTube learning about branding because like is this a rebrand or is this a rename? And so I've realized that this really isn't a rebrand because again, I'm not going to be talking about like mechanics. Like I'm not going to be talking about space. I'm not going to be talking about sports, right? This is not all of a sudden going to be a show about some random thing that you've never heard me talking about. So it really doesn't feel like a rebranding because I'm not changing who I am. I'm not changing per se what I'm interested in. I'm just sort of growing the things that I'm telling you that I'm interested in because I've always been interested in these things. And so rebranding, when we think about rebranding, it comes down to a lot of all of those pieces. It's not, I think sometimes I mean I thought rebranding because I changed the picture, right? Because I'm changing the name of the show, I must be rebranding. but i'm not but I'm not rebranding, I'm just renaming, right? It's just a rename. Sometimes a rename comes with a rebrand, right? Like maybe I went to school and got a new certification in mechanics. Now I wanted to do a show explaining to you how to build a car or like how to fix your car. That might be a rename and a rebrand, but that's not what I'm doing. I am just renaming this platform, and hopefully this show, if Facebook lets me rename the show, um, to just be my name because there are plenty of shows that are just the people's names because you get to know that person, and that's how I feel like people are getting to know me, and I really like that. I find joy in that. I find joy in sharing a story with someone that reminds them that they whatever they were going through was not like unique to them. We all like to think that we're unique, but some of these experiences that we're having, that's not the way that we're unique. Some of these are just like normal human experiences, but because we don't talk about them, because we don't talk about the challenges of parenting or motherhood or first gen or any of those things, we don't talk about them enough. People get wrapped up and sad and scared thinking that whatever they're going through they're only going through. So now I'm in this like strong phase of entrepreneurship, and I know that there are also lots of other people. Like there's so many new businesses launching, there's so many people who have ideas that they want to launch that they have been struggling with like getting the um getting the courage to launch or are lacking in a little bit of knowledge on how to go from an idea to a launch. And so if I can share the things that I have done, then I hope that that saves you time, right? Everyone's launch shouldn't take 6 years or however long. Sometimes these things can feel like they're taking because you don't have a guidebook, or you don't know exactly where to go. And some people know better than to, I wish I knew better than to go into YouTube and get like, sometimes you end up on something on YouTube and you're like, how did I even get here? I don't even, where, how did it even start? What did I come here looking for? So I say all of that to say that this isn't a rebrand, right? I'm not different. I'm not intending to be different than I've ever been before. I'm going to continue to share what I'm learning as I'm learning it, mostly because that's how I internalize things. There's somewhere, one of the things I saw somewhere that says that part of how you master something is being able to teach it to someone else. I don't often think of myself as a teacher, but sometimes that's the role that I end up in, and I'm cool with that. So the more that I show someone else how to do something, the more that I'm confident that I actually know how to do it. So specifically, the thing that we're going to talk about today in terms of entrepreneurship and launching is what happens when you want to change your name on Facebook. So there's some different options that you have. So obviously, when you start something, as soon as we get an idea, we're like, oh, we should go and grab the Facebook page so that nobody else gets it. And so you launch your Facebook page, and then you end up where I am now, which is 2 years in. You've got this page, you like the name, but you want to change the name. I didn't know that Facebook isn't just going to allow you to change your name. Maybe 10 years ago they would have, but now they're not. There's some rules around it, and they make sense, kind of, but they're annoying to me because it's getting in my way right now. And so the process is you let them know that you're going to you fill out the little thing that says you're going to change your name, but they want to make sure that you've told your audience that you're changing your name, which is sidebar, part of what this episode is about. Audience, I'm changing my name. They want to make sure that you know that the people that you know that I'm sorry. Facebook wants to make sure that you have let people know that you're changing your name so that, you don't gather a bit of an audience for puppies and then all of a sudden start showing them like snuff films or something. Not that that's, I don't know why my mind went there. Whew, Lord. But you know what I mean, right? They don't want you to rebrand so crazily that all of a sudden, however many hundreds of people are your audience, are watching you, that all of a sudden they're exposed to something that they absolutely did not sign up for. This for me, I appealed. They they denied it, and I appealed it because I was like, it's my name. I just want to go from this to my name. It's not like I'm going from Breezy Moms Podcast to like Black Cats United. Like it's just it's my name. And so anyway, they had three requirements, or three options that you could do to prove to them that you've shown people that you've announced it. And so one is that you could make an announcement on your website that says, hey, we used to be called this, now we're going to be called this, right? I hope that you'll stick around, but I understand if you change your mind, right? And so I was like, dudes, I can't do that because I don't have a website for Breezy Moms Podcast. Like, this is my website for Breezy Moms Podcast. So then they said, you need like formal articles of name change. And I was like, dude, I just explained to you that this is not an actual business. This is just my YouTube and my Facebook platform. Like, I don't have any articles of anything, right? It's just me and my microphone. So they weren't happy about that. And then the other one was, now I'm forgetting, but it's some other, so it's your website, it's your article, and then it's an announcement on the Facebook page. But I did that like 3 times today and they still don't seem to be happy. So we're in a waiting game right now to see if I will actually be able to change the name of this page, this Facebook page that I usually host the show on, that I promote the show on, to Candice Dormon, so that I can post other things that are relevant to my life that you might be interested in, on this page. So I just wanted to make sure that people know that, because like you might end up in this situation. Maybe you started a page 10 years ago when we first learned about pages, and you want to use it and you didn't know that you couldn't just change the name. So that's one issue that I have run into and I'm still trying to figure out, right? And then the other thing is I have been hosting this show on Podbean, which is my the online service that I use to host the show. And if you don't know about hosting your podcast, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, is that you unless you have your own website where you're going to house the show, you're probably going to have to pay a streaming service, a podcast host to hold onto your files because you can't run it like you can't run it from your computer. You know, you have to like upload it somewhere and then they will push it out to you, iTunes or Spotify or Google Play or all of the places where you can find our show right now. Because you don't upload your show to iTunes, like they don't want to be responsible for holding um, everyone's show. They want you to pay to have it somewhere else, and then they use the excuse me, they use the RSS feed to push out your show from wherever you're hosting it to these popular streaming sites. So right now I'm thinking through like what I want to do moving forward. If I want to change the name of the podcast, then I'm going to have to change the name on the host, which then means I have to change the name on all the streaming. And what does that mean for the 107 episodes that I already have out in the ether worlds, right? Like all over the internet. Let me not be overzealous. Wherever my show is, I would have to change all of those URL links because right now they say blah 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 Breezy Moms Podcast, and if I want it to say Candice Dormon, then I need a new link that says HTTP blah 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 Candice Dormon, right? So that is definitely something to think about if you find yourself in a position where you want to switch your situation, either switch your name or maybe switch your podcast host, your file host, your your I don't know what that's called. I don't know what that's called. But if you want to change your host, like you have to think about all of that stuff because your podcast or your music or whatever is not going to live on iTunes if you cancel. I was like, maybe I don't need Podbean anymore. And then I had to stop for a second and think, what if I cancel with them? They're just going to delete all my shows. So thankfully for me, my shows are also, the audios are also uploaded onto YouTube under Candice Dorman. So at the end of the day, if I do decide to let go of the podcast audio on my streaming services, I would still have those things on YouTube. And so I'm thinking through it, and it's not an easy decision, but it makes me think that maybe I should have, when I started before, should have started with my own website and then all my files would be on my own site. Or I should have been better about keeping the raw files that I had when I first did them, right? Because I mean, I kind of know where they are, but that's a good um, thing to keep in mind if you're thinking about hosting a show, having a podcast, where you're going to hold all of your original files. You probably should get a terabyte or a couple terabytes and have it somewhere where you put all your files so that if anything happens, right, you decide to leave a streaming host, you can then upload your things somewhere else, or you could archive them and release them again later if you wanted to. So that's what I'm going through right now that I didn't know about ahead of time. And I don't know if I wish I had known that before because sometimes too much information is paralyzing, right? I don't know if I would have been able to make a quick decision then if I had to think about where I might be 2 years from now or like what name should I call the podcast 2 years ago if maybe in 2 years I want to change my mind? What's going to happen? Um, and so that's why I think sometimes we overanalyze things and there's always a workaround, right? Like there's always a workaround. There's always a way to forward people to the new spot, whatever the new thing is. So I'm reminding myself right now that even though I'm still in this moment where I'm figuring out what to do, that I can't make, James says this to me all the time, you can't make a wrong decision. Whatever decision you make is going to be right for you right now, and then you move on from there. And if you have to pivot again, then you pivot again, but like that's your prerogative, right? So don't let like too much information and being too like hard lined on what your like final choice is going to be stop you from doing anything, because at least I have 100 episodes now that I have to worry about, right? Like I could still be thinking through what I should do 2 years later and haven't launched anything. The last thing I'll say about this like transitioning bit on Facebook, specifically on Facebook and Facebook pages, that kind of thing, they do have an option for merging pages, but I have found that they will, so you can merge your page. And what it comes down to is they're going to give you two options, and they will allow you to take your content or your people. And that seems to go back to what I said before, which is like, they don't want you to all of a sudden, they don't want to risk you all of a sudden presenting some information that is totally left field to an audience of people who are not expecting it. So when you merge, like I could have made a new page that's called Candice Dormon and then tried to merge it. And the question comes up as like, do you want the people to come with you? Or do you want the content to come with you? And then I have had that happen where I'm just like, that feels like too much of that feels like a big heavy decision to make, because you work hard for the people who are your audience at any given time, and I would never want to just throw that away. And then I also work hard for all the content that I put up, and so like, what does that mean if I just throw that away? So that was actually a very paralyzing decision for me. And so I did not do that. I did just start a new page and like fingers crossed, hoped for the best. So just letting you know that there is I guess, a second and third option. If you find yourself with a page that you already have that maybe has content on it, maybe has people on it, and you want to change something about it, you can do this merge situation, but then you're going to have a an important decision to make about whether you keep your people or you keep your content. So good luck with that. Let me know if you make that decision. Definitely let me know what you decided, because that was really too hard for me to for me to do. And then I'm just going to wrap up with I guess the overarching reason why I really felt it super important to kind of like streamline what I'm doing is because, like I said earlier, I get an idea, and so that I don't talk myself out of it, I just run with it. And then you turn around and you have like three podcasts and three businesses and two kids and a husband and like too many things to deal with. And I was just like, oh, when I was not busy, I was filling time with like every brand new idea I had. I was like, oh, let's do it. And now I'm busy, but I don't want to just be busy, right? Like, I want to be productive. I want to be booked, right? Because now I'm actually running a business. When I launched a few of these things, I was not running a business. And so it was just cool to do whatever I want, like whatever kind of ideas came to mind. But I'm very mindful and have been over the last couple of weeks, very mindful that you build an audience and you want to provide value and entertainment and all of those things. And you don't want to like let people down, right? And so if I build an audience here and then I lose interest and then I move over here, like what does that say to those folks? And I don't want to be that person, because I value anyone who's watching this. I absolutely value you, because like I can't do it without you. So I am consolidating, because all the different things are still me. They don't all need their own name. They're still me, right? So that's legit where my mind is at right now. Like Breezy Moms is me, Amplify is me, Amplify Showcases me, Candice is me. Like they're all me. And so I'm just gonna allow myself to be me, and like hope that you guys stick around for the ride. So if you have any questions about what's happening now, as a reminder, I am not rebranding, I'm not doing anything new. I am just changing the name to a name that you already know. And thankfully for me, there are not a ton of Dormans around. So it'll be pretty easy for you to find me on any of the platforms if you look for Candice Dorman. And then to continue to just provide what I hope is helpful information in uh, in helpful ways. So that's where we are. That's where I am now. I am so grateful for all of you watching. I am so glad that you are watching now on Facebook Live, and hope that you will tune in for the replay on YouTube. And stay tuned for what we decide on the podcast. I think that podcasting has become a part of who I identify as a podcaster. And so I really don't think that I'm going to give up my podcast life. But I am going to be focused more on YouTube right now, because it's in line with the sort of visual and video things that I'm interested in doing right now. So if you haven't already gone over to YouTube, please take a hot second, click over to YouTube and follow me at Candice Dormon. Super simple, super easy. And then you will always find these videos, the Breezy Moms Podcast, which I will eventually stop saying. But you'll always find these episodes, these shows over on YouTube. So please do subscribe, and feel free to comment and share it with someone, because that's how we grow the show. That's all I have for tonight, which feels like a lot. And again, shout out to Tom, our co host, who couldn't be with us tonight, but we'll see him next week. And again, if you have any questions about what is happening here, what's going on with me, feel free to ask. And until next time, I'll see you in all the places, okay? Good luck. Good luck, America, is how I'm feeling. It's like, I don't know why I'm driven to say that right now, but good luck to all of us as we continue to get the election results in. Good luck to all of us. This show is produced by Emlyn Group Productions. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.